realizing what's not working and realizing that things are not working on many levels and in many, many different ways. And it's a kind of a wake up moment. Like you can reflect these things politically or socially. I mean, they do have a personal dimension. So what you might see on the streets of Hong Kong is not just about what's going on for people in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. It's a chance for us to go, how is that relevant to my life? What in my life is not working so well? What am I not happy about? How can I change that? Mm-hmm. It gets clearer for us in 2020. Yeah. In a way, 2019 being it's three energy, and it's very much about exploring. So you're out there delving into things, you're learning about things. The wake up is about learning that you have to wake up, mm-hmm. and that you start to identify the things that you want to change. Yeah. So, and I think in a way, what happens in 2020 is that 2020 is really about vision as much as anything. So we might get it. We'll get a chance to figure out, well, what would the vision look like if we wanted to change things? What would we want to change it to? And so vision's going to be important. The other thing that's very important about 2020 is we no longer can rely on belief and faith. We have to understand. We have to come to know. So therefore knowledge is very important. And we have to come and intimately know it. It's like that old adage of what do we think, what do we know, what can we prove? So, and I think if you use those three elements to approach any problem you have, what do I think, what do I know, and what can I prove? That will help us get clear about how we can go forward with this.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's a really good point you're making there as well. Like this knowledge, and
because you know how people they say, oh, I believe that, or I think I have a feeling that's right. Well, that's okay up until a point, but I think from now on we're going to need to fully understand, to know, and to learn very directly from direct experience. So first-hand experience is going to be very important. We're going to be less reliant on second, third, fourth-hand experience. Mm-hmm. I see this will probably play out in the way the world is conveyed to us through media. So we're going to be a lot more interested in exploring what lies behind things. So we're not going to take the news on face value anymore, because it's not direct knowledge. It's through a filter. So there's much more interest in exploring.
Yeah.
And
we're also really looking for the truth there.
Well, looking for, trying to figure out what your own truth might be based on the many different truths that are out there that are expressed. And I suppose always when it comes to the world, follow the money. Figure out is there a vested interest that colours how someone is reporting to you. Again, it's about saying faith and belief are not good enough.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
In other words, be okay with the uncomfortable, the uncertain, which is kind of like a scientific principle. And science is something that is valued in the 2020 energy as well. So it's very much about, okay, so can we prove this? Again, that whole think, know, prove. It's like, well, so you need intimate knowledge of a particular situation or a world event or whatever. So don't be afraid of, okay, it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to try a different perspective and see where it takes me.
Yeah, exactly. Like as you said, the roller coaster, like just jump on.
Yeah, that's right. Because you're going to find that, because in a way that's emblematic of how to deal with the roller coaster. When you're sliding down, you go, okay, I've got to try different perspectives. I'm going to try stuff that's uncomfortable, see where it takes me. Because quite often, if you just keep pursuing the same pathway, you're going to keep going down on the roller coaster. But if you say, I'll try something else, the possibility is you might go up again. I don't know, but that's how I view it. Moving from belief and faith to knowledge.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
So I no longer want to hear people say, I believe in climate change. I want them to go,
I
this is a problem.
know about climate
This
change.
is a problem. I
Yeah,
know from experience that something is happening out there,
yeah,
and we need to act on it. That kind of thing, rather than I just believe in it, because science isn't about belief; it's about knowing.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's the kind of thing that will be favoured more this year, knowing rather than faith. Yeah,
And it also really sounds like from that knowing, there will also be more of an action, right? Like when you know it, you want to do it. Like you want to do something about it.
that's true. Although 2020 energy is not very, it's not particularly active.
Mm,
So I think most of it will happen in 2021, but
yeah,
but that's okay to spend a year getting clear about where you want to go.
yeah. And then in 21, it becomes more of an action then, or it becomes more of an
Yeah,
active energy.
it's a transition time.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Yeah.
Mm. And
So people can go to my website and read the whole thing, and
yeah,
that's quite good.
absolutely.
And
They should. They
you
should.
know,
They should. They should. I will put the link in the notes here for sure because I think it's a really interesting way of looking at. And I think I mean to be honest, for me, 2000. Well, let's say again, 2019 was a very was also a year of a lot of closure and wrapping things up and just closing chapters. And I think for a lot of people, it's also been a very rough year. It's been a hard year, a year of loss and grief, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that it's interesting to then see 2020 is especially that word of awaken, like awakening and waking up heavily. I think is something that a lot of people are going through already. So yeah.
true. One thing I would say, Caro, is that your personal year is influenced by the global year. So everyone has a personal year. So the extent to which people are experiencing grief or emotion is also reflective of their personal year. And what the global year does is it just it colours it a little bit in terms of expression. Yeah. So for a lot of people, I think partly why for some people last year was tricky was because the 2019 energy had them going off in many different directions at the same time, and they were seeking higher learning. And so what do we do to get that higher learning? We put ourselves through something that'll test us, whether it's a death or a breakup in a relationship, or we lose friendships and that kind of thing, or we gain new ones. These kinds of things tend to test us. So to the extent to which someone has a set of numbers that's conducive to that, well, it's going to be influenced by the global year. But it's you have to marry the two.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do in a reading, for instance, because they colour each other. So, and it depends on the person too, because, as I say, they're particular, it's not just the personal year they're going through, it's what they're here to do and what they're here to teach. So that's in their name. It's in their name energy, it's in their birth number. There's a lot of other things going on in play. And the more detail you have, the richer is the content of the reading. The thing about the reading that's up on my site for 2020, it's general.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the kind of stuff that the world is going to have to experience.
The general, the global. Yeah.
So it doesn't specify exactly what we're going to go through, because it's not prescriptive, but it does say, for instance, and this is interesting, 2020 is being four is not particularly materialistic, so therefore be careful about your finances. But that's on every level, not just personally, but also nationally and internationally. So that's a general observation about how we need to be careful about money. So, and being a roller coaster, wild fluctuations are possible. So that's one observation. There are other observations as well. I suspect there could be very well some breakthroughs this year in the field of communication and science and psychology, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
That's great. And so this is a question that I asked so I spoke to Barbara, who's a life coach, and Kari, she's a health slash life coach as well. And I was asking them, like, do you feel that a lot of people struggle with the same things when you do personal readings? Like, do a lot of people come to you because they're struggling with a specific thing in their lives, or can you see that there is a general problems or things that always come up with when people come to you for readings? Or
it depends on why they come for a reading. Sometimes people they're about to marry and they want to know something as mundane as, should I take on my partner's surname?
wow, yeah,
Or it can be, I find out that there's something fundamentally wrong with the relationship that a particular person has with their mother, or I can't work out why I'm not happy with my boyfriend. There's all these,
yeah,
or I can't break through. I don't have enough money. It's not any one particular thing, really. It's whatever is troubling someone at the time. A lot of it is to do with it's people's personal sense of direction in life that comes up mostly. What am I going to do with my life? I don't feel comfortable I don't like this job anymore. I don't feel like I want to live in this house because I don't get on with the people. But I just help them. I either confirm or say persevere with it. But generally speaking, they've come to me at a point where nothing else works, or they just want a different perspective, another fresh perspective, something that'll either. Well, people often look for confirmation, but I don't work like that. I just tell them what is there, and they go away with that, hopefully empowered enough to be able to do something about it. Because generally speaking, they want to change something. I think that's what I find mostly. There's some part of their lives that are just not working, and they don't know why. I mean, I did a reading for a woman once who was a friend of mine, and my friend gave this other woman a reading as a birthday gift, and her birthday was in November, but it took her till February to come and see me because she was very sceptical about it. Just was but she was given it, so it was a freebie, so she came along. Anyway, it was a bit of a struggle because she just didn't want to be there, but she was there. And I could tell it was difficult. But I just, I sometimes call outside myself to get a handle on what's going on. Because, when someone blocks you like that, they don't want you getting inside really at all. So you have to find a way to pierce the veil. And it was interesting because I just started saying something, and I got right to the nitty gritty, and I got very specific about what was going wrong, and it was like a revelation. She just burst into tears, and she said, "Oh, you know what? Yes, I do. I get it." And so we talked. Then it was open. She could talk about what was going on, and I had a chance to tell her a few things and suggest a couple of things. And she's not a personal friend of mine, but about 6 months later, I bumped into the friend who gave her the birthday reading. And she said, "What did you tell her that day?" I said, "Oh, I just told her a few things." "Well, her life's completely different now. She's sorted all this problems out with so-and-so. She's a different person, And I'm going,
wow.
she's happier. And I said, "Okay, all right, well, that's good. That's really good."
Yeah.
So you can get a story like that, and that gives you a sense of, oh, wow, good. I've made a difference in the world.
Yeah, it's beautiful. No, and especially because what you're saying, first there is resistance, and there is like this kind of like, this was only a gift. I don't really want to be here. But then, it really changed her apparently. Like, that's amazing.
Well, I think so. And, I never follow up on them because it's not my role. But if they want to come to me, some people have come back for a reading every year, or, it just depends. But yeah.
I think
it's good to hear back from time to time, because then often, I mean, they will tell you. Like there was a woman, as I said before, who wanted to see whether she should take on a husband-to-be's name, and I recommended she not do it, and she said, "Oh, I really didn't want to take it on." I said, "Well, there you go."
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So I think this general feel of wanting confirmation or being very insecure about something, or just like kind of feeling a little lost, I think is something that happens like with a lot of people, and it's beautiful that we have different ways of finding out more, you know?